On behalf of the Order Malta, I welcome you to our webinar on the essential action of women religious congregations in caring for victims and survivors of human trafficking and the urgent need to support them. Since October 2020, we have organized 39 webinars on human trafficking, focusing on the Laudato Si and Fratelli Tutti encyclicals. In these webinars, we have highlighted the importance of religious congregations' work in advocating for and assisting human trafficking victims and survivors at the local and international levels. Today, we are honored to receive 4 special speakers who have been and still are active in the field on behalf of human trafficking victims. First, Sister Miriam Baike, Sister of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd, member from the Congregational Chapter of the Order in Rome as Apostolic Counselor for Germany and Albania. She is representative of the UN in Geneva for the Sisters of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd. She worked for 30 years with survivors of trafficking in Germany and Albania. She is a working board member of RENATE and the Alliance of NGOs on Crime Prevention and Criminal Justice. And she will be speaking from Central America. Second, Sister Françoise Giranonda, Sister of Saint Paul de Chartres, winner of the Sisters Anti-Trafficking Awards 2023. Sister Françoise has opened 2 schools that protect young Thai women vulnerable to the sex trade. Sister Françoise's activities aim to teach young women free vocational skills after high school and raise public awareness. We will see her intervention on video because she is unfortunately sick. Third, Sister Olivia Umo is a Catholic sister of the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul. She is the director of Safe Child Advocacy, a social service institution owned by the Catholic Archdiocese of Kumasi in Ghana that provides multifaceted services to support, reintegrate, and promote accessibility for children in street situations. She has over 33 years of experience in social work practice. And fourth, Sister Patricia Ebeg-Boulem, Sister of St. Louis, winner of the Sisters Anti-Trafficking Awards 2023 in London. She is responsible for a shelter for returned victims of trafficking, the Bakita House in Lagos, Nigeria. Pope Benedict XVI honored Patricia Ebeg-Boulem in 2012 with the highest papal honor for consecrated persons, the Pro Ecclesia and Pontifice Medal. The sisters will present their work with trafficking victims, women, men, and children, also the importance of faith in giving them the strength to act, and the fact that they are often the only ones to protect and help victims when the needs are overwhelming and the appropriate resources, human and material, are lacking. There are indeed very few shelters for victims of human trafficking in the world, and religious women run some of them with very limited resources. And this webinar is a call to support them. To overcome possible poor internet connections in the sisters' workplaces, we ask them to provide us with a video. They will participate in the discussion live, except for Sister Françoise. And now let me add a few words. According to Kevin Highland, Strategy Director of the Santa Marta Group, an alliance of police chiefs and bishops from around the world, working together with civil society to eradicate human trafficking and modern-day slavery. Kevin Highland, who was also the first independent anti-slavery commissioner in the UK government, and would like to quote from what he said in New York during an event at the UN organized by the Order of Malta in January of this year. I quote, "Other crimes for example, the fight on drugs, receives hundreds of billions of US dollars in yearly investment worldwide. Financial investment by governments to end human trafficking and modern slavery runs at less than 1% of the 150 billion US dollars made in criminal profit each year by traffickers. This makes for an unfair fight and mirrors data showing that less 1% of victims are identified each year. The Santa Marta Group intends to find ways to increase prevention, including using the illicit 100 billion US dollars profits for good purposes, including reparation and compensation for victims, allowing them to rebuild their lives. These criminal profits would almost match the OECD nations' entire US dollars 185 billion in official development assistance, ODA, showing the importance of making human trafficking a crime that does not pay. And in the vacuum of effective action, what could be done? The Santa Marta Group is promoting a 6-point strategic plan for 23-26. 1. Procurement and business culture. Businesses around the world benefit from human trafficking. This may be because they turn a blind eye, but it will always be when it happens because they haven't taken effective measures. We need to turn that so business are held responsible for what happens in their supply chains. Tainted money. Removing the benefit of human trafficking, which are currently estimated as over 150 billion every year, that money should be confiscated and used as reparation, victim support, and in the fight against human trafficking. We already do it for counterterrorism, so we could do that also for human trafficking. Third, digital space to be governed by law. Technology platforms must be regulated and governed by law to avoid promoting human trafficking. And fourth, international instruments, revising and enforcing international legal agreements and commitments so they are relevant for today's world. And fifth, international institutions, ensuring all international institutions use their platforms to fight human trafficking and promote human dignity. And sixth, and last, moral compass. Resetting the moral compass so that human trafficking is seen for what it is and eradicating slavery becomes a priority for all. The Santa Marta Group goal for the G20 countries to spend 30 billion annually in anti-trafficking structure by 2030. This may seem like a big ask, but the United States spends about 100 billion a year fighting drugs. It's hard to get to a collective 1 billion being spent by governments. We are determined to drive home this message from Cardinal Nichols, patron of Santa Marta, which is also the same message from Pope Francis. Allow me also to call another expert, Vincent Cochetel, UNHCR's Special Envoy for the Central Mediterranean situation, during our side event to the Global Refugee Forum in Geneva on the 11th of December 2023. And he said, I would like to share my frustration at the growing gap between the renewed political calls suggesting that more is being done against human traffickers and the reality I know. My concern also relates to the growing gap between capacity building efforts and victims' assistance in the field. A recent report from the UN system in March 2023 documented that most of the funding relating to human trafficking goes towards data collection, research, and soft capacity building activities. End of quote. In conclusion, we need more resources, more materials, and more people if we are to be effective in combating and ultimately eradicating modern slavery from our world. In the meantime, the sisters need our personal and institutional support, even in smaller amounts. I would like to thank you in advance for your support and remain available to answer any questions you may have. And now I would like to give the floor to Sister Miriam Baike in thanking her for being with us today.
Good evening. Thank you for having me on the webinar about essential action of women religious congregations in caring for victims and survivors of human trafficking and the urgent need to support them. I am a member of the Congregation of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd and will tell you how we are working to improve the situation for victims and survivors of human trafficking. So the Congregation of Our Lady of Charity of the Good Shepherd is a Catholic congregation of sisters which was founded in 1641 by the French priest John Eudes. He got aware of the poverty of women, forcing them into prostitution, and he wanted to help them. He founded our congregation. At the moment, we are present in 68 countries of the world, providing services to women and children, but also men at the margins of society. We can say that our congregation is working like an international network. We have been committed and mobilized for over 400 years, going to some of the most challenging places around the world to work for social change. Good Shepherd International has special consultative status with the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations for its work with women and girls. We are present in 4 regions: North America, Central and South America, Europe, Africa, Middle East, and Asia Pacific. Here you see a map of our presence. Everywhere where you see the sign of our congregation, we are present. In China, it is Hong Kong. We are in Hong Kong. And you see in all continents all over the world. We want to promote and to end slavery in our times. The vision of our congregation is Good Shepherd believes that the new generation can build a world without slavery. A world where everyone is treated equally. A world where those who coerce or deceive people into forced labor or steal other people's freedoms are brought to justice. A world where everyone is included in the development. A world where everyone can walk free. And a world where each person's rights are upheld. The congregation's mission's objective is to provide care, welfare, and all forms of intervention to those in poverty. For example, victims of gender-based violence and other forms of abuse, neglect, and exploitation. One person is of more value than the whole world. We are committed to reaching out with compassion and respect, empowering each person to wholeness and full potential. We try to live and act with compassion, gratitude, respect, integrity, and zeal. Zeal means that we try our best, we are present and don't stop even if work is very hard. We believe in the good of the person and we try to go on and not to let anybody down. So our congregation has a three-pronged approach to respond to human trafficking. One is a concrete support for victims, like shelter, education, food, formation, and all of this. But hand in hand has to go the efforts for prevention, because it would be the best if there would be no victims and survivors of human trafficking. And to support the prevention, that is visits in schools, women's groups, we try to show the ways of human trafficking in the countries, which might be differ from country to country. And hand in hand with this is the advocacy. The advocacy, which is also on a level of states. We believe that only if demand for slaves is reduced or eliminated, that would be best. Only this will finally lead to an eradication of slavery. So all these through approaches go hand in hand. We are offering shelter and care for victims and survivors of human trafficking, because they need somewhere to go, safe to go and to get the help. We offer trauma counseling, because trafficking has a huge psychological impact. And we offer counseling to help victims to heal. We offer legal aid. We are assisting victims who want to press charges against traffickers, helping them navigate the legal system. And we do reintegration work. We are working towards the victims' long-term well-being, potentially including finding them jobs or educational opportunities. Our prevention efforts consist in community outreach. So we are working directly with communities in areas where people are vulnerable to trafficking, educating them about safe migration practices and their rights, but also of possible ways of trafficking, so that they can identify when they are cheated. We try to help with economic empowerment, because living in poverty is a major push factor for trafficking. So we are providing vocational training and promoting economic justice initiatives to give people better livelihood options within their own communities. Also micro projects, income generating, where they can learn how to run their own business or how to work to find an employment. For this, we are collaborating, working with local organizations, governments, and other NGOs to create a vital support network for prevention. And advocacy. That means raising awareness about human trafficking and pushing for stronger legislation and law enforcement to combat it. This could involve lobbying governments, educating the public, and collaborating with other anti-trafficking organizations to create a stronger collective voice. We are networking not only within our own congregation with the sisters who are present in all these areas of the world, but also with networks of religious, for example, with Renate in Europe, or with the Sovereign Order of Malta, who is hosting these webinars. There is Talita Kum, that is the international network for women for religious to work against human trafficking. And also there we are involved in many of these local networks they have, the regional networks and overall network. Because only when we combine our forces, we can have an impact. And it has for sure to cross borders, because the traffickers have good networks too. This is in Europe, the map of countries The European network, Renate, that means Religious in Europe, networking against trafficking and exploitation, are present. So it is much more than where our congregation can be, and having all these contacts helps us to address human trafficking. These are the areas of service from Renate: direct action and prevention, capacity building, advocacy and lobbying, research and development. All this is necessary to beat to study trafficking, human trafficking. That is how we are working against human trafficking, and it is important for us to say that the people who have been trafficked, we can say victims, are at the same time survivors who have a high resilience, and on this we can build up to give them the strength and let them know their dignity, which they never lost, because whatever happens to you, you don't lose your dignity as a human being. And we try to advocate on the international and global level to reduce the demand, because only if we demand slavery will happen. And it is, of course, very obvious in the areas of sex trafficking to be exploited in a sexual way. If nobody wants to go to women and men in prostitution, there will be no women and men in prostitution, because there would be no lucrative money connected with it. But also supply chains for goods. What am I buying? Is it child labor involved, for example? So we are all interconnected, and we are all contributing to this area of human trafficking, even without knowing. So it is very good to see what are the supply chains, how are things produced. There is a sharing fair, no? There are brands where we know that the people working in the fields will get a just wage. And all of this is something we want to promote, and which everybody of us can help to reduce the demand for slavery, so that slavery will be eradicated. We do this, of course, all out of Christian values, which are very often the values of other religions as well, because religion and the connection to God always speaks about love, respect, and dignity, and that is in all religions the same. So that is motivation. We are working to help the survivors of human trafficking. Thank you for having me. I hope that I will be able to join also live to this webinar, because at the moment I'm traveling, and while you are seeing this, I'm in El Salvador, and I will try to be present for a short time. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sister Miriam, for this comprehensive intervention on the impressive work that the Good Shepherd congregation has been doing around the world for 400 years, and today with networks like Renate and Talitha Kum. And now I would like to give the floor to Sister Françoise Gianonda.
The work of religious women in Thailand focuses primarily on protection. This necessity arises because in Thailand, religious from various congregations engage in a wide range of activities including education, medical treatment, and social work, managing numerous schools across the country. Human trafficking is a growing concern about victims who are now becoming increasingly younger. Talitha Kum Thailand dedicates to urgently educating school staff about these severe dangers. Our goal is to raise awareness among all religious members about these. The Association of Major Religious Superior of Thailand holds biannual meetings to discuss these concerns. These gatherings offer Talitha.com, a platform to share our work and seek collaborative efforts to tackle human trafficking and prevent its spread. We strive to protect the young people under our care and make a significant impact. While we can't safeguard every child and youth, we are committed to ensure that the children in religious schools are well informed about the dangers of human trafficking. By doing so, we help many avoid becoming victims. We have also expanded our training programs quickly. Last academic year, we trained many teachers to use integrated teaching methods in different subjects. This way, students learn about important topics from various viewpoints at least 8 times each semester. Recognizing these issues early, we're compelled to act. Together, we develop educational resources for classroom use. We also respond to invitations to help in training youth, such as at a Scout camp last year, attended by over 3,000 youths, providing us with an effective collaboration platform. These efforts lead to numerous plannings and evaluation meetings. Organizing a camp like this allows a new generation of religious who have never heard the work of Talitha.com before to continuous cooperation, which focuses on educating about human trafficking, emphasizing human dignity, legal frameworks, causes, prevention methods, and victim assistance. We engage youths through various activities that encourage self-recognition and valuation, such as building and decorating houses together. After building, each group dismantles the other's creations. This symbolizes the effort the children reflect requiring for personal growth and the value of what our parents have provided, which should not be easily destroyed. Learning activities about laws, causes, prevention methods, and ways to assist victims of human trafficking are organized into fun, competitive games to keep the participants to be engaged and informed. We strive to make youths aware of the impact of human trafficking. We encourage them to think about affected individuals and find ways to assist or prevent their peers from becoming victims. They also learn about channels for reporting and prosecuting these crimes. At the end of each day, we take time to summarize and share our achievements to refine our approach for the following day. A crucial part of this process is to reflect on the collaboration with various religious congregations, some of whom we have never worked with before. This collaboration has not only been fruitful, but also strengthened our vocation. We actively encourage young people to join us. During youth camps, we support them in becoming leaders, progressively empowering them to help and create networks to support their peers. To engage religious groups worldwide into the fight against human trafficking, we go beyond prayer and raise awareness individually. Each religious group brings unique blessings and missions. With a deep understanding of human trafficking, they can significantly impact the people they serve. We believe that wherever these religions go, they can create safe zones. While this is a long-term effort, the success in Thailand since the establishment of Talitha.com demonstrates that working collaboratively with various religious groups fosters greater cooperation. This becomes a shared mission and shows clear benefits. Collaborative efforts lead to increased mutual support and effectiveness.
Our gratitude to you, Sister Françoise, and also our best wishes for recovery. We had the pleasure to meet you in Bangkok in March, and this impressive video shows well the importance of education to prevent human trafficking and empower young people to help others through collaborative platforms, including Talitha Kum. So now I want to give the floor to Sister Olivia Umo from Ghana.
Thank you for inviting me to contribute to this conversation on the essential action of women religious congregations in caring for victims and survivors of human trafficking and the urgent need to support them. I'm Olivia Umo. I'm a daughter of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul, the Director of Self-Child Advocacy, Catholic Archdiocese of Kumasi. I'm the coordinator for Talitha Kum Ghana. That is the network of consecrated persons in Ghana against human trafficking. We are part of the International Talitha Kum Network. I'm also the director for safeguarding and protection of children and for the prevention of domestic violence for the Archdiocese of Kumasi, Ghana. My presentation will follow this simple outline. I begin by sharing about my work. Self-Child Advocacy, Catholic Archdiocese of Kumasi was founded in 2005 by the Catholic Archdiocese of Kumasi in collaboration with the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul, who since its inception have been the managers of this service. Self-Child Advocacy was founded to address the problem of children on the streets of Kumasi. We support children in street situations, youth, women, families in the same situations, to reintegrate and rehabilitate them. We sponsor children and youth in formal education as well as in employable skill training. We safeguard children from abuse and work towards rescuing children from abusive situations and working with families to make families safer for children. I provide consultancy services on safeguarding, on prevention of domestic violence and human trafficking. We welcome homeless families and help them to settle, as well as families on the move, migrant families. We carry out advocacy to get governments awakened to their responsibility. We carry out extensive public education in order to prevent these situations of concern. At the upper part of my slides there, you see a sea of girls in street situations in a drop-in center where we educate them on human trafficking and other issues to keep them safe. Below, the photo shows girls that we have supported through skill training at their graduation ceremony. After skill training support, we also support with set-up items for the graduates so they can be empowered to take up their lives and become economically independent and thereby break the vicious cycle of poverty and vulnerability. These are girls that we've supported from vulnerability to entrepreneurship. Besides working with children, families, women, and youth in street situations, we extended our scope of service in 2016 to combating human trafficking because we realized that children in street situations were very vulnerable to human trafficking. In 2018, Talitha Kum International Network conducted a training for consecrated persons in Ghana, and the network, the training was conducted for representatives of various religious congregations of women in Ghana. And from that training gave birth to a network called Compact Talitakum Ghana, a branch of the Talitakum International Network. It is during this occasion of training, or after the training, I was appointed the coordinator for this network for Ghana, a position that I hold till date, a position that has exposed me to so many victims of human trafficking, and to do a lot to combat human trafficking. We believe that we are stronger together, and that together we can fight human trafficking. So these are a cross-section of members of the Talitakum Ghana at our last in-person meeting. Our network is made up of representatives of over 20 women religious congregations and 8 male religious congregations, and the network has also open to welcome members from the civil society organization, especially organizations who are credible and stand to fight against human trafficking. Our anti-human trafficking activities include rescue of victims of trafficking, which we do in collaboration with the Anti-Trafficking Police Unit of the Ghana Police, welcoming victims who return from other countries back to Ghana, providing them with shelter and care, supporting transportation of victims to return to their countries. We support reintegration, rehabilitation of survivors. We also support and encourage prosecution of perpetrators in order to prevent the continuity of human trafficking. We are also extensively into public education against human trafficking. It involves a lot. Working to combat human trafficking is a very challenging ministry, but faith has been a source of strength. My faith in God has been a source of strength for me, for my sisters and team of staff, because I do not work alone. I work with my 3 sisters in the community in Kumasi, as well as a team of staff. I work with about 35 staff, as well as members of the Talitakum Ghana spread out in different parts of the country. We believe everyone is a child of God, made in His image and likeness, and should be accorded the care, support, and protection needed to thrive. We also believe in the dignity of the human person, and this remains the primary motivation to continuously open our doors to welcome victims and survivors who turn to us in desperation. We believe also that every kind deed done has a positive reward. Our faith in the charity of Jesus crucified urges us on. This is the motto of the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul. The charity of Jesus Christ crucified urges us on, and the charity of Jesus knows no bound. These are all the components of faith that sustains us in this service. Faith in the divine providence has been our stronghold. Our faith in divine providence knows no bound. This is our inheritance also from our founders, St. Vincent de Paul and St. Louis de Marillac. We believe that God will not leave us wanting, and that is why, although human and material resources are very limited and sometimes unavailable, we never turn down anyone in need, especially victims of trafficking, because we know that they are so vulnerable, and when we don't open our doors to them, they simply go back to their traffickers and they remain slaves forever. What is amazing is that our jar of flour never goes empty, nor the jug of oil goes dry. This is what we believe in, and this is what we hold on to in spite of everything, from 1 Kings 17, verse 16. There is always room for one more, said Nikki Crooks, and this also inspires us, that there is always room for one more. And even though our little shelter meant for children in street situation is full, we never turn away a victim of trafficking. This is the daily miracle that we experience, that God would not leave us wanting. The needs that we address are overwhelming, and there are limited actors to respond or to address them. For instance, over 20,000 children and youths between the ages of 7 and 23 live on the streets of Kumasi. It is also estimated that over 60,000 children live on the streets of Accra, the capital city of Ghana. Overwhelming number of young people are trafficked daily from different countries into Ghana and forced into prostitution and other dehumanizing engagements. This is our situation. Yet, we seem sometimes to be alone. We seem to find no other options. And so we have to respond. Although there are many people involved in the Talitakum network, they have not developed services to respond. The members of the network are extensively involved in education, public education, which is a lot of work and a lot of help, because if people are educated, fathers, mothers, families will help to prevent human trafficking, and the young people themselves will not allow themselves to be trafficked. But when it comes to responding to the actual victims and survivors' need, it is very difficult to find shelter, to find care, thanks to Hilton Conrad Foundation, who came to our rescue since 2023 to support us with funding that we use to respond to these needs. In the past, we were just in distress. Sometimes you will have them and you wouldn't know where to get the means, but we got that support. But you can imagine the overwhelming situations that we face. This support seemed to be a drop in the ocean. Thanks also to Talitakum International, who once in a while give us some support to respond to these overwhelming needs. There are no shelters, and we wish there could be shelters. We could provide shelters so we can support these victims and survivors more. My project and the need for sustainability. We need funds to support children in street situation access formal education and skill training in order to prevent them from becoming victims of human trafficking. We also need funds to support victims and survivors of human trafficking at various levels, beginning from rescue to provision of shelter and care. You know, when victims are rescued, it is another ball game providing for them until the time that you can transport them home. Even transportation is money. To transport victims to different parts of the Africa. For instance, a few days ago, we had to transport 5 young people to Central Africa Republic. And almost every 2 weeks, we have to transport victims from Ghana to Nigeria. Sometimes we have to transport victims to Cameroon, to Burkina Faso, to Mali, and to Benin Republic. All of this need money. Keeping victims when they are rescued, taking care of them, providing medical, providing food, providing clothing, all of these are need funds. And when we cannot keep victims, that means they cannot also prosecute their perpetrators, even when the police arrest perpetrators and there is no place to keep the victim for an extensive period of time. Then we lose the case, because the police, the court will not hurry over these cases. We wish the court could take these cases seriously and speed up the process and so these girls or these victims will not have to wait for long, because when we don't have special shelter for them and the resources, we may not be able to keep them long. Funds are equally needed for public education. To go from place to place, to host webinars, to host meetings, demands funding. And in order to sustain this service, we are in dire need of funds. And we are calling on the public, calling on civil society organizations, calling on development agencies who have big funding to support governments to also extend their support to non-government organizations, women religious organizations who are involved in combating human trafficking, who are involved in supporting victims and survivors of human trafficking. We do a lot, but we hardly get the support that we need to respond to this need. And so, in conclusion, that is our cry for help. We call for help. We cry out to public to come to our aid. We really need shelter. In Ghana, there is only one shelter owned by the government in Accra and one shelter owned by a Catholic congregation, male congregation, also in Accra. And what is that to the huge number of victims that escape from human trafficking or are rescued by the police and need help? We are calling for help so that we can have a shelter that can take care of our victims and survivors of human trafficking and help them reintegrate properly into society. We are grateful for this opportunity to contribute to this discussion, as I said at the beginning. And as I speak in this call, I'm speaking on behalf of the Daughters of Charity of St. Vincent de Paul in Kumasi, Ghana, Safe Child Advocacy of the Archdiocese of Kumasi, Compact Talitha Kum, Ghana, and Talitha Kum International Network. And we are thankful really to all our network, all our partners, all our collaborators, all who support us. Special among them is the Anti-Trafficking Police Unit in Kumasi, the International Organization for Migration, IOM, Conrad Hilton Foundation, who has supported us to be able to give these responses, and Talitha Kum International Network. Thank you very much once again for having us here.
Thank you very much, Sister Olivia, for your powerful message and relentless work to break the circle of poverty and vulnerability, to carry out advocacy, public education, rescue and rehabilitation and reintegration of victims and survivors. Congratulations also for your work with the Talitha Kum network. We shall relay your appeal for more support and more funds for victims. And now our last speaker of tonight is Sister Patricia Ebegbulem from Lagos in Nigeria.
Greetings to all of us at this webinar. The topic before me is the essential action of women religious congregations in caring for victims and survivors of human trafficking and the urgent need to support them, by Patricia Nenna Ebegbulem, SSL. At this webinar on human trafficking, Thursday, May 16, 2024. The Spirit of the Lord is upon me, because he has anointed me to bring glad tidings to the poor. He has sent me to proclaim liberty to captives and recovery of sight to the blind, to let the oppressed go free, and to proclaim a year acceptable to the Lord. Taken from the Gospel of Luke, chapter 4, verses 18 to 19. In light of this mission of Jesus, women religious congregations are often inspired to minister to those who are most vulnerable, including victims and survivors of human trafficking. Recognizing this alignment with the mission of Jesus, I join the organizers in emphasizing the urgent need to support us in this crucial work. Introduction. I thank the organizers of this webinar for inviting us and giving us the opportunity to share our work, journey, and experiences. I'm particularly grateful to Ambassador Michel Vuthi for his continued support and encouragement to Bakita, St. Louis Empowerment Network, in this very tough ministry. Ambassador Michel and all the other organizers and your team, thank you and God bless you. Looking at the topic for the webinar, women religious of Nigeria have been into the fight of human trafficking since 1999. Now there is a strong network among all the congregations in Nigeria, which has been strengthened and supported by Arise Foundation for the past 2 years. Furthermore, this topic fills us with hope and encouragement. Our joy is in the realization that we are not alone. There are people planning for us, thinking of us and our work, and looking for ways to support us. Yes, this realization brings to mind those groups like the Order of Malta, Conrad Hilton Foundation, Arise Foundation, Loyola Foundation, Slaves No More, IOM, Caritas International, and so many others who have supported us, women religious, in our work. Please pardon me if there are groups that I have left out. It is not intentional. God knows you and will continue to bless you abundantly. Our activities. Bakita St. Louis Empowerment Network is an NGO owned by the Sisters of St. Louis. It fights against human trafficking through advocacy and awareness creation, sensitization of the public, welcoming and sheltering survivors of human trafficking, providing them with their basic needs like feeding and personal effects, conducting medical checks for them and on them, rehabilitating them through counseling and psychosocial support, reconciling them with their families and significant others in their lives, reintegrating them into the larger society, empowering them through acquisition of skills and economically. These victims and survivors we call treasures, and this is how I will refer to them in this presentation, in the most part of the presentation. Bakita runs a shelter where we have an average of 20 to 30 treasures with about 10 of their children at a time in the shelter. When we started the shelter about 15 years ago, most of the ladies returned singly. Very few came with children, but these days, they not only come with children, a good number come pregnant, so that we have the challenges of prenatal and postnatal hospital cares. Sisters have had to spend nights in teaching hospitals with babies on referral cases, while their mothers are in the initial hospitals recovering from cesarean surgery. In most cases, they are teenage mothers because most of them come to us very young. Prevention. We believe strongly in the adage that prevention is better than cure, and so we put more of our energies and resources into prevention. We engage in creating awareness and sensitizing people on the evils and dangers of human trafficking. We go on enlightenment programs such as campaigns to schools, churches, mosques, public places, and youth fora. To do this effectively, we have written a book for schools with the title, Stop Trafficking in Women and Children. It is a crime against humanity. There is also a teacher's manual to go with the handbook. In Nigeria, fortunately, the Ministry of Education has included the teaching of human trafficking in the school syllabus and curriculum. So this textbook has come very handy and is used by St. Louis schools and some of the other schools. The place of faith. Often when I reflect on God as my source of strength, I thank God for my parents and the upbringing they gave me, which many of these treasures never received and don't have. My formation right from my childhood to my religious formation served as a great preparation for this work. As I mentioned earlier, my formation as a religious and especially as a sister of St. Louis had raised in me the consciousness of the dignity of the human person and an awareness of the effects of poverty in the Nigerian society. As a religious, I'm called to support the vulnerable, and the charism of my religious institute calls me to be in solidarity with the poor and marginalized. Hence, my enthusiasm and motivation in caring for the vulnerable persons. I also believe that everyone is created in the image and likeness of God, and so should be treated with respect and dignity, irrespective of the circumstance of birth, color, race, or religion. As religious women, we believe in God's love and mercy for everyone, and that God does not cast anyone out, no matter the situation or condition, as we see in the story of the prodigal son. Hence, we are carriers of God's love, compassion, and mercy, and by virtue of our calling, we are determined to carry on this fight until our goal is fully achieved. Motivation. Part of the motivation in continuing this work stems from the success stories of our treasures who have gone through rehabilitation and reintegration in our shelter. Some of them are happily married with children. Some have their businesses doing very well, even though they are not without challenges. The smiles on their faces and their expressions of gratitude are motivating factors for many of us. On Saturday, for example, May 4, 2024, 3 of our children were baptized. 2 infants, Pascal, born on Easter Tuesday, Wilfred, born on April 11, 2024, and the year 7 months old Happiness. These are causes for jubilation and celebration. Most of all, the desire to reduce, if not totally stop this menace and evil, is a great motivating factor. Challenges and misconceptions. One of the challenges of this ministry is the misconception that surrounds the work of trafficking and exploitation, making it difficult for us to get support or carry the public along, As a result, we feel overwhelmed. The experience can be daunting. Some of these misconceptions are choice. Some people believe that it is by choice that these ladies are caught in the web of prostitution. The answer is a capital no. Human trafficking for forced prostitution is deadly. No person in their right senses can choose that way of life with its many consequences. Another misconception is the idea that prostitution is a profession. You hear some people often talk about prostitution as one of the oldest professions. No. No one can choose self-destruction as a profession. These are the misconceptions that make it difficult for us to get support with the work. Another major challenge or frustration is the lack of cooperation from the treasures, especially those on drugs. From some of the treasures, especially those on drugs. Given their traumatic experience, some find it difficult to trust, which makes recovery slow and difficult. But with counseling, spiritual direction, love, and prayers, they heal and bounce back to life. For some, it takes a longer period, but in the end, most of them get healed. Resources. Our biggest hurdles in this ministry is the lack of material and human resources. There is so much to be accomplished, so much to be done, so many needing assistance, but one is seriously constrained. With the terrible economic situation in Nigeria that is making many young people to japa, that's flee the country, we have more vulnerable and potential victims needing help, coupled with the many returnees and deportees. These days, many treasures come with health, emotional, and psychiatric challenges. As I said earlier, many also come pregnant. We need money for hospital bills, referral cases, therapies, and so many other things. Subsequently, there is need for skill acquisition for treasures and potential victims. There is need for more space, expansion, accommodation for more treasures, playground for children of treasures, and so many other things. There is need for human resources. With the harsh economic situation in Nigeria, it has become almost impossible to get volunteers. And with the lack of funds to pay workers, the situation gets more and more overwhelming. Partial solution. There is a property beside us, sharing the same fence with our shelter. It is up for sale, and we would like to purchase it to use it as a skill acquisition center for our treasures during their rehabilitation period, and to also give support to youths who are not able to have formal education. This will help empower them and prevent them from falling prey to the traffickers. When the youths are actively engaged, they will channel their energy positively for the common good. The total amount for this property is 50 million naira, that's the Nigerian currency. And the equivalent in euros is 40,775 euros. and in dollars it is $43,432. This is calculated according to the exchange rate as at May 6, 2024. In conclusion, once more, I thank you all for this wonderful opportunity. By the grace of God, we will get the property to enhance our work as we reaffirm our resolve to remain committed, dedicated, and focused in our efforts to reduce human trafficking to the barest minimum and help create a society free from exploitation and oppression. We pray that God will continue to use all of us mightily in different ways to put an end to this horrendous crime of human trafficking. Thank you all, and God bless. Thank you.
Thank you, Sister Patricia, for your fight against human trafficking for now 25 years in the Bakita House. Thank you also for dispelling misconceptions about human trafficking and for highlighting the role of faith in your action and approach to human dignity of persons you help. And now I would like to ask the three of you about the number of estimated victims of human trafficking in the countries you are active and the numbers of shelters. And obviously, to see or to illustrate the difference between the needs and the means available. So I don't know who would like to speak first, because actually what could be also interesting to know, quite often you did speak about women and girls, but we know that also boys could unfortunately be victims of human trafficking. And it will be also interesting to see how to take care of victims of PTSD, not only human trafficking victims, but also helpers, because helpers could also suffer from the post-traumatic syndrome. And that's why I wanted to have more of you about those questions of figures and also this question about PTSD. Is anyone able to answer us?
Okay, I think you were asking about the statistics
Yes.
of the victims of human trafficking in Nigeria.
Yes.
Well, as at 2019, the statistics was put at about 1,200,000.
Well,
and I'm sure the number must have increased by now because the economic situation is terrible. You know, so many people are hungry, so many people are out of work, especially the young people. And so it's on the increase, unfortunately. And then as for the number of shelters, well, in Nigeria, there was in 2020 when we had a meeting of some of the shelters. There were about 13 shelters in Nigeria, but those are the registered ones. I'm sure there are many more must have sprung up since then. So, but so much needs to be done. And you know that Nigeria is a big country. When we look at the statistics, one tends to shudder that there are so many people victims of human trafficking. But then you know that Nigeria is a country that is about 200 million people. So where you have so many people, you would expect anything good or bad in great numbers.
Thank you. Then actually we have a question from a lady from Nigeria, and this lady asks about whether Talitakum is doing something with regard on preventing human trafficking as a result of widowhood, saying that the wife oftentimes depends solely on the husband for economic needs. When the husband dies, they have no other means to survive economically and thereby become very vulnerable to human traffickers. Sister Patricia, you have something to say about this?
Yes, in the sense that Talitha Kum is out to empower women, especially the vulnerable and potential victims. And widows fall into that group. When they are widowed, they become vulnerable, they become the potential victims of human trafficking. And so, if we find them in such a situation needing help, definitely Talitha Kum reaches out to them. And Talitha Kum, as I said, is very strong in Nigeria now, in the sense that the women religious who are members of Talitha Kum have a very strong network now in Nigeria. So they are concerned, you find them in every corner, every nook and cranny of Nigeria. So in that sense, they can reach out to anybody that is vulnerable.
Okay, thank you, Sister Patricia. And actually, how do you try to raise awareness on human trafficking in order to prevent young people to become victims? You know, we have seen what Sister Françoise was doing in Thailand. Do you do things like this in schools in Nigeria?
Oh, definitely, we do. You know, the book, I think you have a copy of my book. It's a handbook for schools, and we use them in St. Louis schools, and some other schools have adopted them. We go around to schools, and the women religious go to schools, to markets, youth fora, and we campaign seriously against human trafficking. And when we say we go to schools, we go to primary schools, secondary schools, even tertiary institutions.
Sister Patricia, you received two awards, one from the Pope and one last year, and I was honored to be witnessing this award ceremony in London. And do you think those awards are helping you concretely, must say, not only personally to be rewarded, but also to help you to do more on behalf of victims?
Yes, definitely. In the first place, I mean, when people congratulate me over the award, I just tell them it's God, because I don't see much that I'm doing. Anything that I'm able to do is the Lord that gives the energy, and is the Lord that accomplishes what is accomplished. So definitely, is a very strong motivating factor. For example, because I received the award for human dignity, I'm very, very conscious, and I'm out now to promote everybody's dignity, even the workers, all those that I come in contact with. Their dignity is very uppermost in my mind. So that's part of the motivating aspect of the award.
Okay. No, thank you very much. I see, Sister Olivia,
Olivia.
I'm not hearing anything. My network is unstable. That's the answer. Yes, okay. Okay, no, but anyway, we appreciate very much the fact that even with those network problems, you send us very powerful videos. And actually, I would like now to ask Sister Patricia. Sister Patricia, again, excuse me, I'm always relying on you, but could you possibly make a conclusion and say, what would you like us, what is the gist of the message you would like us to convey with this webinar and with our messages, please?
Well, the message, first of all, the message of gratitude. That by organizing this webinar and projecting our work, you are encouraging us and drawing attention to people to assist us. And my message would be that everybody should really be engaged. Everybody, because this is a global phenomenon that is out to destroy our society, especially young people. So everybody should be sincerely involved in whichever way you can assist, assist to see that this human trafficking is eradicated. And especially when you have be on the alert. When you see some victims, you don't have to wait until there is an organizational effort. You can help individually, and then when you get opportunity to help organizations, please help so that all of us are together in this battle against human trafficking. And once more, I say a big thank you for organizing this and encouraging all of us.
So thank you to you, Sister Patricia, because you've been very faithful in providing us with various videos, messages. We were very happy to meet you in Rome a few years ago. That's where we first met. And again in London last year. We hope to meet you again. But I know that indeed people like you are giving us also hope, not only in what you're doing, but also in what we could do. And now, really, Sister Olivia, could you hear me?
Yes, now I can hear you, please.
Oh, please, what would you like to say in concluding this webinar?
Well, just again to say that the harvest is rich, but the laborers are few, and the resources are even fewer, and that we would appreciate support that can enable us to respond, because it's very pathetic when you have these young women mostly, and sometimes young men, and you are in a situation that you want to help, but the resources are not there to provide quality help. Maybe you just manage with resources that are, already, struggling to give piecemeal services. We could do better, and they deserve more if we have the resources. Like I said, for us, shelter is a very big need, and we could provide psychosocial support to accompany them through the time, because some come very traumatized and some are very young. Sister Patricia, they knows our situation because we send some of our girls to them in Bakita in Lagos, because we rescue a lot of victims from Nigeria. Even as I speak, we have 5 girls waiting for their legal proceedings, and you want to, as they wait, you want to provide good support, and at least let them have food to eat, let them have access to medical care and psychosocial support, and feel, the support, the accompaniment to help recovery. These are the things I would say. My mouth is full of what I would say, but my network didn't help at all. But thank you so much for this time again.
Thank you, Sister Olivia, for being with us, and our best wishes for what you're doing, and our thanks for being with us today. I would now like to thank Sister Miriam Baike, Sister Françoise, Sister Olivia Humo and Sister Patricia for their contribution. Actually, I would like to announce our next two events. One will be a webinar with the 2024 winners of the Sisters Anti-Trafficking Awards, Religious Sisters Best Practices. And the second would be a side event at the United Nations in Geneva, mobilizing against trafficking, exploitation, and modern slavery in sport. And this will take place in June, the 20th of June, from 2 to 3 p.m. in room 24 in Palais des Nations at the UN in Geneva. And indeed, you are all welcome to participate online, and you will find the registration links on our website at laudato.si.org. And now, in concluding this webinar, I would like to express my gratitude to Yves Reichenbach and Emanuele Piluso for their contributions. In a few days, you shall find a video recording of this webinar and of the 38 webinars we organized with subtitles in 7 languages on our website as well as on Vimeo and YouTube. Thank you for being with us and supporting our efforts as well as helping survivors. And we hope to see you at our next webinars. And again, we provide you with the account, the bank account, where you could help those congregations, Sister Miriam Baike, Sister Olivia Humo, and Sister Patricia Ebek-Boulem, and know that you help whatever limited or whatever amount is very well received. It's going straight to help the victims and actually apostles for those people and for the respect you show them. And actually, that's something we are very respectful, and we admire very much the work we're doing. And again, I know that people have been expressing their gratitude to all of you and their best wishes. And I think that's the same from Geneva. And let's stay in touch and let's pray together. And God bless you and your treasures, as you say, Patricia. Yes.
Thank you. Amen.
Amen.